Hi there, future teacher, and welcome to this Praxis 5017 test prep lesson. We are going to be completing the workbook, so if you haven't already, make sure that you put it on your tablet device or print it so that you have the physical copy. We all know that active learning is the best way to get prepared for your exam, and actually physically writing down the content that you will likely see on test day will help with that active recall. All right, now, again, this is for the Praxis 5017 exam, and we'll be going over 5 key content topics for this test. That's starting with the curriculum and planning, going to reading instruction, advanced comprehension, writing and language, speaking, listening, and assessment. Without further ado, let's get started. All right, so first up, part 1 is all about that curriculum and planning. Now, this competency on test day covers your ability to plan instruction for the core components of reading and language arts. Remember, this workbook details the reading and language arts section specifically of your Praxis 5017 exam. All right, now remember that there are core English language arts components, and what I want you to do is take a moment here to fill in the blanks that you can see. So a comprehensive reading and language arts curriculum is built on 4 main components, and they are as follows. First and foremost, we have reading, and we have writing, and then we have speaking, and finally we have listening. And your exam will ask you to demonstrate your ability to provide effective instruction that meets the needs of all of your students with each of the main reading and language arts components. All right, let's keep on going. So let's take a look at this next activity. What I'm asking you to do is to fill in the correct term in these 2 blanks for each definition. Let's go ahead and read the first one. Text that tells a story. The key instructional focus is on story elements. We can think here character, setting, plot, etc. And then the second is a text type that gives facts and information. And in this, we are looking for a main idea. Do you know what it is? The first blank, all about characters, setting, plot, that would be narrative text or fiction text. So I'm going to write narrative text. And secondly, that would be an informational text. Another way that might be picked out or shown on test day in informational text, another way to say that is an expository text. All right, so let's take a look at this pro tip. Remember a common distractor. A distractor is the incorrect answer option. So this Praxis 5017 exam is all selected response, which means multiple choice questions. So 3 out of the 4 answer options will be incorrect, and we want to let you know that a common distractor is teaching language conventions, so think spelling and grammar, in complete isolation. So if you see an answer option where the teacher just gives a worksheet, but you see another answer option that looks like one that's not in isolation, but actually in context, go with that answer option. All right, let's keep on going. The writing process is one that you'll have to know for test day. So I have provided a couple of the blanks to be filled in. Step 1 of that writing process is pre-writing. Step 2, what is that? Do you remember? Make sure, as you follow along, don't just watch. Make sure that you're completing these blanks alongside with me. Step number 2 is drafting. And drafting is another way to say when we're allowing, helping, facilitating time and space and skills for our students to get their ideas down. Step 3 is revising. So that's improving ideas and clarity. And then step number 4, that is the editing process. Now, if I was going to add another step, 5, we would call that the publishing step of this process. All right, so let's keep on going. Next up, we have a practice question. This one reads, a teacher is beginning a unit on informational texts with a 3rd grade class. Which of the following is the most effective initial activity to help students navigate and understand these specific texts. Take a moment here to read answer options 1, 2, 3, 4, or A, B, C, D, and select the one that you think is best. All right, the correct response I'm going to go with here is option B, a lesson on identifying and using text structures like headings, captions, and glossaries. Remember, before students can find the main idea in an informational text, they must first understand how to navigate it. So that's why we teach the text features. It's such of an important part of teaching informational text. All right, now let's keep this going. Part number 2, we're moving straight into reading instruction. If you're following along, great job. You're just that next step closer to passing. This competency covers the foundational skills of reading. Think here differentiation, phonological awareness, all the way to phonics, fluency, and basic comprehension. All right, it looks like we have some more definitions on the right side and their terms on the left. Take a moment here to complete the blanks. Let's start by reading these definitions. First and foremost, this says what you teach. So that's providing texts at varied reading levels about the same topic. Second one is how you teach it. So think here using flexible grouping, providing scaffolds. And third is how students show what they know. So offering a choice between writing an essay or crafting a poster. Now, what I would fill this in with is, first and foremost, we would have the content. Again, that's what you teach. And second is called the process. And that is how you teach. And then third is the product. And that is how students demonstrate their independent ability to complete the skill set or skills that you just taught them. All right, so let's go over this pro tip right here. This is the phonological versus phonics trap. Now, commonly, you will certainly receive questions on both phonological awareness and phonics. Just remember that phonological awareness is all about sound. It's an auditory. When we are working with phonological awareness, our activities will all be with hearing something, whereas phonics is visual. It both connects the sounds to the letters. All right, let's keep this going. Activity next up, we have another fill in the blank. So take a moment here, read these definitions, and make sure that you complete the blanks. All right, here we go. Understanding how books work. So remember, we read left to right, top to bottom. The ability to hear and manipulate sounds in a spoken language, and finally connecting sounds or phonemes to written letters called graphemes. What are those three? All right, so the way that I would fill these in, how books work, remember how we open a book, how we read the book, these are all what's called concepts of print, or even concepts about print, but concepts of print. And next up, the ability to hear and manipulate sounds. This is the phonological awareness. All right, and then third, connecting those phonemes to the graphemes. That, of course, is what we call phonics. Did you get those three? Nice job. Let's keep this moving. Now we're going on to a key content category on your exam that's all about fluency. Remember, fluency has three main parts. If you've been watching my Praxis 57 other lessons, I've talked about this in the past. One of the parts of fluency is reading the words correctly. One of them is reading the correct pace, and one is reading with the correct expression or intonation. Reading the words correctly, that is all about accuracy. So reading the actual words right, accuracy. There we go. And next up we had the pace of reading at the correct speed or pace. What we call that is reading rate. And then third, reading with the correct expression or intonation of prosody. The third part of The third part of fluency is prosody. All right, here we go. Prosody is intonations, the way you read. So students, when they come across a period, they need to do a full stop. When they come across an exclamation mark, they need to read it like an exclamation mark, not just like a period. All right, moving on. And if you receive a question on test day about this, remember that fluency, reading fluency, is the bridge to reading comprehension. This accuracy rate and prosody is so important because reading with accuracy rate and prosody, it will help our students better understand that which is what they're reading, which is called reading comprehension. Okay, so next up, let's go to our second practice question. Take a moment here, find the correct response. Let's go ahead and read this one together. A teacher says to a small group, listen to this word, ship. Now, let's break it into sounds, sh, ip. This activity is designed to build which of the following skills? Is that phonics, phonological awareness, concepts about print, or morphology? The correct response here, okay, so first of all, remember that this is an auditory skill, right? Listen to the word. This is an auditory skill. The teacher says the word and its sounds. Remember that phonological awareness is the ability to hear and manipulate sounds in spoken languages. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to select option B, or phonological awareness. We are moving straight to section number 3, advanced comprehension. Let's go. Comprehension focuses on teaching students to read, like reading detectives. They need to analyze each page and word, and they need to understand and think about the author's point of view and what's being written on the page. So they're going to need to infer some meaning. They're also going to need to understand the literal context of what's written. Take a moment here, complete the terms by writing in the blanks. Let's go one by one. A statement that can be proven true or false. Okay, so because we have 5 in this